Yeah, fuck the lag. I do not have time for the lag right now. Fuck that. All right. We need to get this fixed soon. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard, but this is getting ridiculous.
Yeah,
so we're just
fuck
gonna
the
get right
lag.
into
I do
it.
not have time for the lag right now.
Fuck Jesus
that.
Christ. All right. Anyway, this
We
is
need
Sir
to
Yeetus.
get this fixed soon. I don't know what's going on with
Welcome to
StreamYard, but
episode
this is getting ridiculous.
122
I do not have.
of Yeetus' thoughts. All right. This topic was brought up today because somebody got very upset with me in the comments today on my most recent video when it comes to what the media say is assault type weapons. They want it to be taxed 1,000%, or a bill that wants to be passed. He got upset because I won't name his name, but he said, is this a fucking political channel now? What the fuck? And I'm like, what, just because I posted a meme? Are you serious? Are you serious? That's the reason why you're upset? And he's like, well, on your bio, it says that you specifically talk about male issues and the BS that males go through when it comes to relationships, right? And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. But what he doesn't understand is when I say in my description, sorry, not bio, when I say I'm here to give you information about male issues and how ridiculous relationships are getting, male issues isn't just dealing with women. Like it is astronomical on how a lot of people can't really comprehend on that certain word, because male issues is a very broad topic. How is that not a male issue whatsoever? There are layers when it comes to male issues. All right. Yeah, I could dog women 24/7, like, oh yeah, Jezebel this, 3 4 that. Oh, she should have gotten married, blah blah blah. But a million other channels already does that. Okay, like we literally beat a dead horse over and over again. I'm not here to satisfy your feelings when it comes to how uh women are running amok in society. All right, that's not why I'm here. When it comes to male issues, there are multiple layers to it. All right. When it comes to dating, that's just one of many reasons why I talk about male issues. So chat, does my channel only talk about women? Put a 1 in the chat if my channel only talks about women. It just like 100% just talking about women. Is that what my channel is about? Please put a 1 if you agree, or 2 if you disagree. So let me repeat. Put in a 1 if you believe that my channel is just nothing about talking trash about women or calling women out. Or put in a 2 if I talk about various other topics that involves men, that affects men. You see, that's where he got it twisted. That's where he just got out of control. Okay. He probably was a Ribby fan. Ribby, even though he talks about women and call women out, he mainly does it for comedic purposes. Okay. There's thousands of other channels calling women out, right? If the channel is involved with the Manosphere or MGTOW, Black Pill, whatever it is. Okay. But you gotta think a little bit higher than that. You gotta go, like what Grace says, you gotta go beyond that. Okay? That's one of the reasons why I started the What series in the first place. Okay? Yeah, I'll add in some women issues here and there, but overall, the What issues is where I can bring up current events or world events that does affect men as a whole, whether you like it or not. It's crazy how he was surprised that the content I was bringing out didn't involve women, and he got mad at me. I'm like, women aren't the only sole things that we have to worry about, right? You are focusing too much on the puniti, okay? You need to look outwards to what's happening with the state, what's happening with law enforcement, what's happening around the world when it comes to economy, when it comes to societal changes within certain countries, when it comes to war. You need to think about that because guess what? Whether you like it or not, indirectly or directly, you as a man will be affected. Because guess what? At the end of the day, who is going to have to clean up the mess? Even though a lot of us ain't going to bother. But I'm just speaking in the sense of who is going to be responsible for all the shit that's happening in the world right now? Us. Okay? Whether you believe that things can go back to normal or not, or you just walk away in general, they still look at us, men, to correct the shit. So when I put out just one little itty bitty meme about gun control, he just flips out. Oh, if I want to watch a politics channel, I would have went over to the other channels. Okay, I'm only here so you can continue to uh, 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 call out women. Like that shit gets old so quickly, so fast. It's not even funny. Like if I did that every single day, I will burn out so quick. Because what else is there to talk about? The accumulation of all the Red Pill channels, the Warband channels, Manosphere channels, we repeated the same thing 1,000 times over. Why would I continue being a dead horse? But for you to understand my perspective of what male issues are, because I think I never really emphasized, never really made my stance on what I believe male issues are. I'm definitely going to have Gray come up in here to give his point of view. It's just asinine that they're like, I'm not surprised, right? They just want to look at channels made with girls with a little bit of ass and titties, you know, and then just make fun of them so they can feel good about themselves. Yeah, there's some men out there that feels wrong, feel scorned, and they look for channels like Ribbies or Undead Chronic and all the other stuff, just so that they'll be able to be like, yeah, tell them, yeah. But at the end of the day, there's much more to that when it comes to male issues. In fact, me and Undead Chronic, we definitely go way beyond just calling out women, okay? Women, feminism, yeah, they're the problem. But there's way other problems that we got to deal with. Hammerhand knows as well. When it comes to male issues, current events are very important to me. Societal changes are very important to me. Because guess what? When shit hits the fan or shit goes sideways, everybody's going to be looking at you to fix it. But let me bring in Gray right quick before I go on my little rant. Gray, what's going on, man?
Evening, Warband. Oh yeah, there's a lot. We're gonna go into some in-depth stuff here for sure.
And before we begin, I'm gonna chill in the beginning so we don't have to interrupt. If you want to support your boy, Sir Yeetus, there's a link on top of the chat. Go ahead and donate to PayPal.me/Sir Yeetus, or you go ahead and do the super chat, super thanks, whatever it is. Any type of donations is definitely appreciated. But at the end of the day, I don't really care about the donations as long as you're here to listen to what me and Gray has to say. That's the most important part. I get money, okay? The donations you give me helps the production of this channel and the Warband overall. So best believe I definitely appreciate your donations. But I'm not here, trying to be like, oh, what's up with these likes? Stop the show. Stop the show right now. What the fuck? I ain't like that. But Gray, based on what I've said so far, and before we begin as well, Island Hermit, $5. Stock up on food, gentlemen. It's about to get bad. Keep up the good work, Yeet. I highly suggest you guys start stocking up on non-perishable items. I highly suggest you do that. But Gray, according to the topic, what do you have to say based on what I've said so far?
Well, I think that's helpful to sort out the basic priorities for a man, like the order of key priorities. Now, and I have yet to find anyone refute me on this, although if anyone is interested or they have a different opinion, I'd be glad to hear it. But number one priority for a man is himself, his health, his physical well-being, ability to have any influence. Basically, like you're alive and you're capable of doing things in the world. If you don't have that, then you have nothing.
I agree.
Number two, your income, your profession. Like what allows you to survive? Because even if you're completely independent of society, well, then your profession is providing for yourself, probably through some kind of agriculture or hunting. But that's priority number two, because you really can't do anything else unless you are fed, and money, which is simply condensed and transferable tokens that represent human time and effort. You need that to really influence anything beyond your immediate day-to-day survival. Make sense?
I agree.
Number three, family. And that is where women fall. Women should never be more than the third highest priority in a man's life, at most.
Yeah. At least in a traditional sense. You're right. Just traditional.
Yeah, like I think under ideal circumstances, those would be the three.
Yeah.
But the point is, in male issues, women and the state of the female today, that is never more than the third highest priority for any man, or it shouldn't be. You're talking about male issues. First is going to come physical well-being. Second is going to come economic possibilities, let's say.
Yes, that's important.
And those are both intrinsically tied into politics.
Which is true. It's definitely true. I agree. Because I don't know if I sound too far away. Let me come closer. I definitely agree, because the video I put out recently about putting $1,000% tax on assault-like weapons. How are you going to protect your family if that bill passed? They're doing all that ridiculous stuff when it comes to making weapons almost impossible to purchase.
That's the thing. They're going to make it impossible to legally purchase through a retailer. All they're going to do is make the underground for cash market explode. Like not even illegal, just cash jobs. People will already do that to dodge unnecessary taxes, and they'll do under the table jobs. I can absolutely see the under the table gun market. A friend of a friend. You're like, hey, hey, I need a rifle. I've got $2,000 cash.
It will be the prohibition era all over again.
Precisely. I mean, honestly, I think that. Okay. Yeah, I know it's not sensible, but I'm trying to be like, if you wanted to enact something for that, you don't put the tax on the gun, because the gun is a single transaction item, and many people already have more guns than they could conceivably use, and they could reasonably trade theirs away. Now, instead, what you do is you put the money on the ammunition.
Oh yeah, that's where it gets pretty ridiculous. Yeah, I agree. That
would be far more effective, like, because a gun on its own can't do anything without ammunition. You put a tax on certain calibers of ammunition, and you far more effectively control it, because what are people going to do? Fucking hand load everything? Much harder to get bootleg ammunition in large quantities than it is to get a bootleg gun.
Look at this. Look at that comment. But I'm gonna read this real quick. I'm gonna read the other comments. Reso96, thank you for your generous $5 donation. Okay. We are actually gonna put the next lump sum of the donations you guys gave me. And we're gonna be creating a animation of me and Gray. Since Gray is pretty much a co-host now. So that's gonna look sick. But let me read this right quick. The weirdo doesn't understand. I'm assuming that guy that got mad at me. The weirdo doesn't understand that self-preservation isn't political. Talking about Second Amendment, First Amendment, or even the 19th Amendment is all about the preservation of men. I definitely agree.
Like, let's be honest. They're not talking about it being expensive for every purchaser of guns. Like, the military isn't going to have to pay increased budget. The cops aren't going to have to pay increased budget. Their private security isn't going to have to pay increased budget. This is a private citizen's firearms tax.
Oh, yeah.
It's meant to prevent more private citizens from arming themselves.
People are not happy what you're saying. Don't give them my deals, Gray. Gray is talking. Where's the other one? No, Gray, I can assure you that the feds are monitoring this channel. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, honestly, because we're speaking the truth, right? It's only a matter of time before it'd be similar to Canada's situation of you can get a ticket or whatever just for saying the truth or saying some mean words that somebody didn't like.
Oh shit, they'll fucking freeze your bank account for that shit up here.
No resources for you, and people are saying that Trudeau's not a dictator. Get the fuck out of here. But back to the male issue situation, right? It's crazy that, and not surprised, I'm sure there's more and more new young men or men of all ages are coming to these type of channels, and they're just there to see women get roasted or women get called out. But when they go across a channel like mine or that guy Pete that you refuse to go to gatherings, they're like, "Oh, what? Why are you talking about these women? I'm here for the roast. What are you doing? Why are you being so intellectual right now?" Like, bro.
Well, that's the thing. Let's take a look at who these people likely are. I'm going to make a general assumption here, but they're probably younger men who may not have ever needed to work to put food on the table. Probably never even had to worry about paying for their own house, and have lived a life of relative security where the necessity of looking after yourself wasn't an issue. They may still live with their parents, but probably because they're not like legal adults yet.
Right.
Or like maybe they are and they're just living with them to save money and they're getting free rent. Like, so for them, yeah, women, like the third priority, that is the most important thing because their first two needs have been guaranteed their entire lives.
I agree. They're still young and full of testosterone and all that stuff. And they probably got burned once or twice. I won't hold it against them that much. But it was shocking today, how somebody can get so mad about a meme. I'm like, bro, it's just a meme. What are you doing? But regardless.
Well, no, in particular, I think that meme strikes home very harshly because it's the kind of thing that I would like to point out. It was like, hey, all those guys who like have the don't step on snake, like we won't have our rights violated. It's like, okay, they're violating your rights. What are you gonna do about it? And they ain't doing shit.
You and your biased memes. I'm like, I'm literally correlating what the beginning of the video is saying. Like, what do you mean bias? What do you mean? Like,
No, but that's the thing about like you're making fun of the ANCAPs,
right?
like those hardcore like right. Well, they say they're right wingers, though. Again, political trichotomy for me. I'd categorize them differently. But it's all these people who are like, well, no, they won't violate our rights because my Second Amendment. They're violating your rights. What are you going to do about it? Ain't doing shit about it.
Agreed. That's why I had that secretary bird, stepping on that fake snake over and over again.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. I'm sorry.
That's the thing. It is, but it bites at these people who like would make that kind of thing their identity, because like those people have two options. Either they have to admit that they're not going to do anything and that it's all been empty bluffs and bluster up to this point, or B, they have to go into denial and make up some excuse about how it's not violating your rights. Like, this one coworker I had a discussion with who said that, well, they can't restrict travel in between provinces in Canada because that violates the charter. And I'm like, try going to the East Coast during the COVID lockdowns and see how far that gets you across the border.
Yep. Yep. But hey, they're just gonna continue to bitch and moan, man. I don't know. This is why channels like mine exist, and it is definitely growing. Not just because of the help of the Warband or you and all that stuff. I'm just saying things how it is, right? I may not be as harsh or brutal like on Necronic, but I'm not wrong.
That's the thing. And even if like you or I are wrong about something, we're open to someone like making a case for their side, making a case for the argument. Which I think that's incredibly valuable. When someone can actually change your mind, it really reveals a blind spot that you had.
That guy Pete that you refused the gatherings, we went back and forth. I think it was 3 months ago, 4 months ago, around there. Well, he was just starting now, and we were definitely butting heads about the black pill.
Yeah.
And eventually, I'm like, you know what? What he's saying is makes sense. I didn't agree with everything that he said, but I definitely understand where he was coming from, and it definitely changed my mindset of what the black pill was.
And that's the thing. Like, I still will do. Like, my mind hasn't necessarily been changed because we've had more than a few black pill people come on, and they've repeatedly brought out all the black pill offers you is the truth. It's like, that's what the red pill was.
Yes.
Like
that guy Pete, he's the most rational. I don't think he identifies as black pill, but he was the most rational out of all of them when it comes to explaining it.
Now, he's definitely got the most open mind to looking into the larger community and the topics that they cover there. Like, he's willing to meet them on their own turf and accept them as they want to be accepted.
Right.
So, a very open, I'd say philosophical approach to it all. And kudos to him on it.
Oh, do you see the poll?
Yeah, I'm going to cast my own vote there.
That's all good. Chat, if you want to vote, the poll's up. Do you believe male issues go beyond the dating market? And so far, it's 100% yes. So we're getting somewhere. What's up?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, the dating market, I mean, it definitely is one of the more unifying aspects. Because I think that you'd be hard pressed to find a guy that doesn't think the dating market in this current state is completely fucked.
Yeah, it's out of control. It's you just walk away from it pretty much because it's not worth your time.
But but the different but I think it's kind of like everyone can agree that they've got a headache, but not everyone wants to admit it's brain cancer.
True. That's a good analogy. Holy shit. Hope you guys caught that. I really, guys, like, that was a good one. That was a good one. You know, with the other previous things I talked about when it comes to, I make multiple videos about the Ukraine war. I made multiple videos about things that are currently happening in the Black community. Because it's the one that I made, my last live stream, that wasn't my first one. I made multiple videos. Okay. And on top of social dynamics, economic dynamics between people, I talk about that as well. Because all that really does tie into men. Because in the end, whether you guys like it or not, society is going to be looking at men, especially men like us, to fix the issues. You don't have to, but that's what's going to happen. Society is going to be looking at you to get things done.
I think even Chronic posted up that one thing where there was this, I think it was a female commenter who was trying to be like very accepting of Black pillars, but then it's like, but you know, you should still be a decent person, leave the world better than you found it. Like, so yeah, still support the system that is completely fucking you sideways because it's the right thing to do, even if you are completely screwed by that system.
What's my favorite saying? Because I read it like a couple weeks ago. The Lion, the Witch, and the Audacity of this bitch. That came in my head when I read that meme. I was like, what the fuck? Like the audacity, bro. The audacity. Like this is okay. This is why I always tell men, do not try to argue or try to be heard when it comes to emotional manipulation, because you already lost unless you are 100% cold, like stone cold on that. What's that group again? Sigma male shit.
Get it on that Sigma male grind.
Yeah, she is going to win that argument. Okay, because of course you guys saw the post. You like, what the fuck? But the normies, if they see that post, they're like, oh, okay, you know, she has a point there. You know, maybe I was a little bit too harsh. Get the fuck out of here.
No, but you know, the funny thing is that so much of it's because it's a female messenger. If a man were to say the exact same things, he'd be treated as a goddamn fool.
Right. He'll be embarrassed. Speaking of that, do you believe that's going to happen? Okay, so let's say hypothetically, you know, because it always happens, right? You know, the U.S. is like, oh, I don't want to go to war. You know, we just gonna chill here, and then you know, a random submarine gets sunken, right? And then we go to war. Do you think that white feather thing from World War II is going to come back, or on some type of way? You know, not exactly, but the shaming tactic behind it.
Oh, absolutely. Like if it's even a voluntary option to begin with, then yes.
Because once again, at least in 2022, we're not going to war to fight for our way of life. Ours is out the window. Okay, they want us to go fight for their way of life. These feminists, they want us to go out there and get shot up, and if we somehow come back and get major PTSD for their way of life, they don't give a fuck about you. I'm sure you guys saw a few videos ago of a woman. I don't know if she was actually saying it or just lip syncing, talking about why don't you just go but build a house or die in war like a man's supposed to. Ain't that some shit? Why would I die for you? What have you done for me? What have you done for society besides busting it wide open on social media platforms? Or identifying as 130 different genders? What do you have to say about that, Gray?
That's the thing is, like, they've done everything they can to make the society as undesirable and detestable as possible, and they expect you to pay for the privilege of upkeeping said society. Honestly, it is very much, well, the same overvaluing that they have for themselves. Like, they'll get blown out 6 ways to Sunday, be completely mentally broken, popping pills with a whole bunch of kids with ADD, all different dads, and they expect you to work for them.
I agree with that. And on top of that, shout out to One Fast Deck. It is very alarming, and yeah, I know there's a lot of people in the United States, but regardless, it's very alarming how many videos he's able to produce of the amount of women taking mental health pills. Like, holy fuck. Jesus. Like, and they're bragging about it, they're making it like their personality. I'm like, no, you're not well whatsoever. Why are you trying to get sympathy points from these simps? Okay, I kind of answered my own question, but it's just crazy how much society, well, not society, women and male feminists and the alphabet community, they want to be victims so bad, yet they're the most privileged in human history, in my opinion.
Actually, kind of funny. I don't know if you heard me call into a Chronic show right at the end yesterday, because I had a bit of a question about the loyalty of simps, right, with regards to Roma Army. Yeah, and because I was thinking, like, she looked like she's in her 30s, but apparently she's only in her 20s. So, like, when she drops the male support label, I was thinking, well, there's a niche market for the amount of pro-men e-whores. But if she becomes an anti-man e-whore, well, they're a dime a dozen on OnlyFans. Hammer made a good point that, like, simps don't go exclusive. So
I gotta keep it real on this one. So, gentlemen, it's been going out there on social media a lot more often recently, mainly because of the upcoming recession. But on Twitch or YouTube or whoever it is, they are the biggest defenders. I'm talking about feminists or e-thoughts. They are the biggest defenders of simps. They are the biggest defenders, right? Because who else is going to fill up their pockets? They try to twist and manipulate words so bad to the point where they're like, it's crazy how they're able to change a shit ton of definitions into their favor. I'm very impressed with that. I'm very impressed.
But now this is the funny thing, because then a video from RPM came out today where the OnlyFans girls are actually starting to feel the pressure and they're losing their simps.
Yep. Not just recession. There's articles out there that men are just not really interested anymore. Like, they're just like, yeah, like, I've seen the same thing over and over. Let me just...
And let's be honest, it's not... There's not a lot of variety, like, with OnlyFans. Now,
unless you're a
that's
celebrity.
I've even looked and acquired some of the material, not paid for it, thankfully, because that's the thing. You can get a whole bunch of it for free if you know where to look. And it's like, it's fucking boring.
It is, unless you're Amber Heard, Cash Me Outside girl, or that Disney chick. I forgot what her name was. You won't be getting bank. I'm surprised Black China got bank from OnlyFans. She's straight up plastic.
That's the thing. Like but even then, like there was actually I think it was Belle Delphine. Like she actually lost a whole bunch of her momentum after she released her first sex tape.
But somehow, some way, every time she comes back, right, her Sims are waiting for her with open arms.
But that's the thing. Like, just because you get one doesn't mean you get them all. Like, if you lose like even 10%.
Queen.
Well, she was, but like,
but there's a reason
honest.
She was called Queen of Sims.
You know what?
Her nickname was Queen of Sims. She was that fucking good.
Well, but that's the thing. That was before she dropped her. That was before she dropped her sex tape.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, overall, that type of relevance. I can't even say the word right now. That type of status that she has is very impressive till this day. Like, she fell off, but she didn't completely fall off.
No, but that's the thing. So much of it's the mystery, the allure.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. The fantasy that men constructed around her was so much more impressive than the reality, as it would be realistically. And that's what I think's happening a lot with OnlyFans.
I got
like for the what do we got?
Shows how far men have fallen buying jar farts and bath water, and what she sell it for 10,000 per jar? Like, what the?
That's the other thing. There's only so many Sims with that amount of income. Like, okay, you can get one girl selling farts in a jar, but you can't get 1,000 girls selling farts in a jar.
No, and if they did, they probably would get like what? No sale, one sale at best.
Precisely. Like the amount of simp thirst may be endless, but the amount of simp money is not.
I agree. Do you think that's why Roma Army flipped the fuck out? Like,
definitely think it's. I definitely that's the thing. If she was that forward thinking, then she'd be able to make the correction. I think it was more so the negative attention.
Right.
Like women consistently overestimate Sims.
Yeah.
Like when they're so used to being constantly praised, then they experience any pushback whatsoever. It's shocking to them.
Well, do you believe she did that because she doesn't really need her Sims per se anymore? Because out of subs?
I'm not entirely convinced that's the case. It could be, but I'm not completely convinced.
Did it happen with Lauren Southern and the previous chat thoughts?
That's the thing. I honestly think that they get so gussied up that they believe that they are better than the ideology, that they've become a cult of personality, and that it's who they are that got them to their position more so than what they say. Right. Hubris, I think, would be the idea. And that's the thing. Like, they hit this magical number of subs, and they think they're untouchable and that their ideas are unassailable, and that, I've got hundreds of thousands of subs. That must mean that who I am matters.
I
It's
agree.
like completely illogical from our perspective. It would be like Ribby hitting 100K and then deciding to completely switch up his content to being pro-feminist and expecting all of his followers to keep going because, hey, it's Ribby the party frog. We know
No,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, he'll go down in flames. Yeah.
That's the thing. We know that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
since she titties,
what's common sense to us? How many times has common sense to males just been like, how the fuck do women not realize this common sense, easily understood concept?
not that much. Not that many at all.
Yeah.
But
so I wouldn't be surprised if Roma Army's ego got so big and then like that she thought she could say whatever. Plus, chances are she lives on fucking Twitter. And then, she comes to the pain, and then this is kind of the painful realization that, the people who you talk with on Twitter and the people who are subscribed to you on YouTube, they're not the same people.
Well, she made a video today acting like nothing happened. And people are still calling him out. Like, what, you just think that we're going to forget what the fuck you just said?
Yeah, no, the time to pretend nothing happened was after the first backlash to the first video. Like, if you were going to pretend nothing fucking happened, that's when you do it. You don't double, triple, quadruple down and then try to back out.
Right. Acting like she's for men again. Get the fuck out of here, bitch. But I'm going to read this right quick. One Bone for Life. Bell broke character. That's why it went downhill. She revealed she had a boyfriend and started talking about how she was in real life. She revealed her real self. I agree. That's what happened to that Hey Boomer girl when she revealed she had a boyfriend. Bam! Instantly, her Twitter account was suspended or terminated.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, honestly, they were kind of VTubers before VTubers were a thing. Like, that's one of the big things with VTubers. You've really got to keep your real face hidden because it's a fantasy. And that fantasy is what makes it so powerful. If you take away that fantasy and reveal, like, yeah, I'm a flesh and blood human who, like, fucking eats and shits and does all that stuff, and I'm fallible, then the illusion's broken. And it would be one thing if you were the only one, but it is a cutthroat market out there with content creation. If you let your fantasy slip, there's 5 other people more than willing to take your spot.
Right. Like, do you really believe that your Sims will be ecstatic, happy that you reveal that you have a boyfriend? Like, what went through your head that thought that would be a good idea to reveal it to your Sims? Like, come on. It's like, for example, it's like going to a vegan rally and then you reveal that you eat meat.
Yeah. Also, Silas Larson, what are VTubers? Kind of like what me and Yeetus are doing right now, only they have animated avatars that have face tracking. So it
Pretty much.
So like you've got like eye and move. Yeah, like what Manic does is very close to it, but there's a lot of depth to how detailed the puppet rig can be. Honestly, I think of it kind of like a very advanced puppet show these days.
But go ahead and continue, Gray. I'll be back in 1 minute. Give me 1 minute.
But that's the thing with Sims. Like, the thirst of Sims is endless. Their money is not. Their time is not. You could give one simp literally infinite money and they still would not consume all the content on OnlyFans. They just pick the stuff that is most appealing to them, and the quantity that they'd have would be how much time they had to consume it. So, like, simp thirst, the demand might be infinite, but that doesn't mean that they have the money to supply it. And with the supply increasing, as there's another girl turning 18 right fucking now and opening OnlyFans. Right this second, someone's daughter just opened an account.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of OnlyFans, hypothetically, if I did have a daughter and she did that shit, she'll be kicked out of the family. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's like, if I raise her to know that I value traditional activities, values, and stuff, and she does it anyway, she ain't associated with the family anymore. Why? Because I can, and it's punishing her and teaching her a lesson. Fuck that. Like, why are parents so afraid to punish their adult kids for doing the most ridiculous shit? Because whether you like it or not, you still represent me for the rest of your fucking life. And whenever you do some crazy shit, they're gonna say, "Oh, I wonder how the parents are."
Well, yeah, it's funny. It's funny. Whenever some like bullshit tomfoolery would come on the radio, my dad would ask, "Where are their parents?" You notice how no one ever asked that? I realize now I should have told back to him, it's not a question of where are the parents, it's where's the father.
Bingo. Because if there's any issues with a kid, especially if they have out of control behavior, no discipline, nothing like that, my first question is, where's his dad? Because I guarantee you, this child was raised by a single mother.
Well, and it's usually the kind of shit that gets like if it's the kind of bullshit a kid pulls that gets them on the news, then yeah, chances are it's an absent father. But like kids will get in shit, you know, when they're single digits, and that's the time when the discipline really kicks in.
Bingo. I agree. And I understand you can be the best dad in the world or whatever, and they still fuck up. Whether you're the best dad in the world or you're an okay dad or you're whatever it is, in my opinion, I will easily cut my kids off if they're doing the most craziest shit that's going to embarrass my name, right? And I have the right. I have the right to be that way. In a sense of,
that even gets into the question.
But I'm not talking about, oh, this is weird, I don't understand it. I'm talking about obvious. All right, you're doing some fucking heinous shit right now. And you chose to do that. I don't have to associate with you at that point. Yeah, you're my child, but doesn't mean I have to allow you to be around the family to potentially corrupt them as well. No. Do whatever you want. You're an adult, but doesn't mean I have to agree with it. Is that a fair assessment?
Well,
I think that's a fair assessment.
I think it goes beyond agreeing with it. Like parents will disagree with their stuff. The question is whether you enable it.
Hell to the fucking no, which is why I said you can be the best parent ever. And if they do that shit, I'm talking about also, you know, they know what you allow or don't allow, or they know what you taught them when it comes to having just values, morals, ethics, you know, hammer hand stuff. But they turn around and still do some crazy shit like OnlyFans. They expect to walk around the family like it's normal. Like, what if she has what if she has a little sister? I am not letting her around the younger sister and potentially corrupt her. She is cut out of the family. So what do you have to say about that, Gray?
I'd like to go, I kind of probe the question of being the best father in the world, because that's a very subjective question. I'm sure you ask a whole bunch of different dads, like, what does it mean to be the best father? You get a bunch of different answers.
Well, here's my opinion or my answer. You're there, you're involved. You're definitely there making sure that her and the family's okay. You're very involved in her daily activities whenever possible. You're there teaching her how the world works eventually when she gets older. And what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, not just in the house but in society. Actually teaching her to be a respectable young woman. And once again, if she wants to, when she's 18 and she's on her own, if she wants to do that OnlyFans stuff, go ahead. Go ahead. I can't stop you. You're a legal adult. But that doesn't mean that I'm gonna let you back here.
That's the thing. There's a lot of problems I have with a fair bit of advice because I feel it gets too generic. So let me ask a more specific question. Does the best father in the world look at his child's browser history?
Browser history? I'll say yeah.
Yeah.
At least in my experience, yeah.
I think that there's some fathers who would give her answers. I'm in agreement. But those are the kinds of nitty-gritty questions. Because if you want to keep your kids from... If you want to keep your daughter off OnlyFans, so just be very specific with it. You got to find out how she's using her internet activity.
Oh, of course. Yeah. That was definitely my experience growing up. Like my parents didn't just let me just do whatever I want on the internet. Like they definitely kept a close eye whenever possible. So.
But keep in mind, there's parents who will let their 3-year-old unsupervised on the tablet. And I'm willing to bet that there's a whole bunch of parents out there who don't even know how to check a browser history.
I agree. They just think that the internet is just a safe place for all ages to hang out and have a good time.
But I think Facebook's a safe place. Like, that's the other thing. Do you look through their Facebook messages? Do you look through their Twitter interactions? How closely does the world's greatest father monitor his daughter's social media?
I see what you're saying. My parents, they well, once again, like what you say right now, they've done to me. And to my other family members as well. Like they don't hesitate because once again, they need to make sure you ain't talking to no creepy motherfucker or some dude from the dark web. So, but based on what you're asking, it really depends because I do see why you say it's subjective because parents that are not really involved in their child's daily activities like that still believe that they're the best parents.
Yeah. And then there's a question of schooling. Because there's a lot of parents who they think that let's be generous, 3 to 4 hours, if that they spend with their children in the evening counteracts the 6 to 8 hours that they were in school. And that's assuming 3 to 4 hours in the evening, which is fucking generous.
Yeah, because at times that also depends on the situation, like their work schedule and stuff. But even besides that, parents that really wants to be involved in the kids and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do will make that type of sacrifice after school is over to make time. So make enough time. I mean,
then of course, there's how that time is spent because you doing an activity with your child or you just being in the same room as them, that's not spending time. I'm willing to bet that if you were to quiz these parents, a lot of parents on their child's interests, personality, likes and dislikes, hobbies, interests, I'm willing to bet you'd find that most of them are fucking clueless.
Yeah, because in my experience, it's either because once again, it all depends on my parents' mood, right? That's also a factor, right? They can be in the same room and just watch me play video games or whatever, or just asking what I'm reading, or they'll actually take their child to the park or take them to an event that they'll enjoy, like a carnival or Chuck E. Cheese. So I do see what you're saying.
Yeah, there's a lot of degrees to being a parent. Again, a lot of general advice. I feel that it's very feel good and easy to agree with, a lot of it's not useful. I kind of feel the same is like with a lot of entrepreneurship advice, it's very vague in general, or life advice. It's very vague. I don't often hear specifics, like this is a specific incident, a specific struggle, and this was how it was resolved, and this was what was learned from. It's usually the kind of stuff that you'd find in a self-help book or at a motivational speech.
I'm gonna read this right quick. I'm gonna read your super chat, man. I didn't forget you. Men don't have to talk to spend time together. We can sit in silence in the same room playing the game. I agree. I agree with that.
Okay. Here's the disagreement.
Oh, okay.
This is not the context of two men spending time together for some sort of bonding. This is a parent to child.
Yeah.
I think maybe you don't need to know the intimate details of your male friend's life. If it's your child and someone asks you what's their favorite book, you better fucking know their favorite book.
At the same time, I do see what he's saying. Once you get to a old enough age as a son, I'll say son, not just daughter, son. I don't really have to talk to my dad too much to enjoy each other's company, right? But the biggest issue is the daughter. That's the biggest issue.
Okay, but that's the thing. You're not trying to enjoy your child's company. They have friends for that. No,
but what I'm saying is we're able to talk here. I know that's not what then I forgot what your name was, but I know that's not what he's trying to say. But at least with me, yeah, I can say something here and there to my dad about the current subject of what we're watching or what we're doing. But personally, I don't think we don't have to say much. And don't get me wrong, yeah, at times we do talk often, right? So I do agree with you, Gray. You still need to have a good amount of interaction with your own child to at least know what's happening within their lives. But I'm gonna read this, and then I'm gonna ask you another question. Rio, thank you for the generous $5. All right, definitely appreciate it. The schools try to weaponize children against parents. Yeah, and it's getting very bad out there.
That's exactly the point. How do you know what your child is having their head filled with if you're not asking?
True, but at the same time, this is a recent concern, right? In the sense of the ideology problems. Because I never had to deal with this growing up. So this is a very recent situation. At least in the United States.
Maybe this current stuff. But let's look at
okay, but don't talk to your parents about what we talked about today. I never had to deal with that.
Well, true. But how much stuff were you taught about history in public school that now as an older adult you realize was very selectively pruned to create a certain narrative?
Oh, I knew immediately. I can't say too much, but let's just say it was night and day depending on the location where you grew up, right? One group of people will say one thing about history, the other group of people will say another version of the history, right? Because in the end, history is written by the victors. We already know that. And at the moment, there's a lot of infighting till this day for a while now about which historical documents is the most accurate. So when it comes to the schooling, I do agree, Gray. I do agree. But at the same time, if there was a disagreement and if the parents gave a damn about the historical issues, they'll take time to correct the child and actually give them resources, or have them watch something, or just talk one-on-one.
If the parents even know that the child has acquired false or incomplete information to begin with, and if you're sitting quietly with your child watching them play video games and you never ask about their history class, you're not going to know.
I agree. Like, I'm just saying, it will come out eventually. It'll come out eventually, especially if the parents have a disagreement about historical facts. You can just be talking about something random, and then out of nowhere, like, "Hey, yo, what are you talking about? That's not correct." And then that's when the talk comes in. But I do see what you're saying, Gray. If they don't give a damn, they won't know. I agree.
You said you had a question?
Oh shit. Okay. So like I said before, right? There's parents out there that do their best to be in their children's life, do their best to teach them what's right or wrong, what's allowed or what's not allowed out there in society. And on top of that, once a child gets old enough, they should know by then, especially in high school, uh, of what the parents approve or disapprove. So whatever they do in adulthood, they have to take that risk to piss a parent off. But similar to, and once again, subjective, similar to a child getting tattoos where they were raised in a family where tattoos are forbidden. Doing any type of adult content, majority of families will agree that they will not accept that whatsoever. I know there's that minority, like, as long as she's making money, I see she gave me a few grand. Oh shit, she bought me a new car. All right, I'm not going to say anything. All right, hey, go ahead, do your thing, baby girl. Majority of families would be like, fuck no, I don't want my daughter busting it wide open in front of millions of people that she doesn't even know. So, that goes back to my main point of, I'm sure there's plenty of parents that are too afraid to speak their minds in fear of pissing off their children. But me, hypothetically, I don't give a shit. All right, my child should know by the time she's 18 that's not permissible. If she does it anyway, go ahead, do your thing. It's just you're not involved in the family anymore. A lot of parents are too afraid to speak up or give punishment to the kids. It doesn't matter if they're adults. It doesn't. You're still the father or the mother at the end of the day.
Then there's also, here's where the kind of nuance comes in. Because, okay, you can say that, yeah, OnlyFans, clearly unacceptable. But how that is expressed is different. Because if it is just, don't do this because I disapprove, like, that's one thing. But then that often gets overused.
No, by then my child should know inherently that, okay, my dad is not going to approve of this based on what he explained to me of how that's going to lower my stance or lower my chances of getting a potential good husband and all that other stuff. My child should know by then.
That's the nuance of it. That's where the nuance comes in. Because if it doesn't go further than don't do this because dad disapproves, dad could very much disapprove of some very trivial matters. Things that make dad's disapproval less valuable.
I see what you're saying. But with my kid, there's legit reasons. She'll be old enough I'll be able to explain everything. This type of stuff I don't approve of, but if you do it, don't expect me to agree because I gave you other reasons.
That's where the nuance of the discussion comes in, and the importance of like actually talking and learning about the child.
Right.
Because like if it's like, you know, dad doesn't want you playing Grand Theft Auto. Like, I mean, yeah.
Because it
But-
entices violence.
That's the thing.
That's
Like you could have a super strict parent who's like, no, it's gonna cause you to like be fucking violent and shit. And then the kid goes over to their friend's house, plays GTA in secret. They're gonna be like, huh, you know, I played a shit ton of GTA when my parents didn't know, and nothing terrible happened. I wonder how much other things that they've been lying to me about. And it erodes the authority of the parent.
I see what you're saying. But at times the parent doesn't have to explain everything on why they have certain rules, right? The child doesn't have to get a reason of every little thing a parent says you can or cannot do. You know, at times, don't do it because I said so. I have the authority. But other times, some things as serious as OnlyFans, when she's old enough, I would definitely give her the list of reasons why, and I won't hold back. This is why you shouldn't be doing this. This will fuck you over in the long run, whether you like it or not. The internet is not a pretty place. This will follow you for the rest of your life. Think on that.
Yeah. That's the thing, but that's the nuanced discussion. And by that point, like by the time your daughter's considering OnlyFans, she's decided whether or not her father accepts or rejects something is a worthwhile metric for how to live their life.
Which is a very important reason, which I agree, Gray, of why it is crucial for a parent to be very involved in their child's life.
That's the thing. And by the time they hit teenager, they're going to start pulling away and hiding shit.
Yeah, that's pretty much, that's pretty normal. Yeah.
So if you didn't take an interest in your child's life to get to understand them prior to them starting pulling away, it's too fucking late. They've already learned to hide the things that they like from you.
Right. I agree. When a child is old enough, right, and I believe a child has to be a certain age for me to be fully transparent with them, they shouldn't be afraid of approaching me about a controversial subject. You know, that's just me. They shouldn't be afraid to come up to me like, hey, dad, you know, when it comes to this OnlyFans things, or hey, what's up with this devil's lettuce? Or what's up with Sleepy Joe? I should be transparent enough to explain, you know, like, all right, sit down. I'll explain to you what's up, what's going on. But that's only at a certain age. All right, if it's a child, the child doesn't need to know. But if it's around 15, maybe even 14, but I'll say at least 15, then I'll keep it real transparent with them.
Honestly, now this might just be me, but if you're waiting until 15, 16 to actually start treating your child like an adult and being honest with them, you've already lost them.
Oh, I said 14 as well. It's just if only they come to me with the questions, you know. Well, okay, like forget the sex stuff, right? Sex stuff, it starts at what, middle school or 6th grade, like that starts young. Like they do the basic reproductive system teachings. All right, fine, whatever. But I'll say at least 14 years old or older. Then I'll start being very transparent on how the world works, right? And that's
but you got to remember, like, women are losing their virginity at 14. You wait till 14, it could be too late.
Well, okay. When it comes to that stuff, it's that's been put out since they were like 1 or 2 years old. Like the dad's like, hey, you better not have a boyfriend. You better not have a boyfriend. You know, like I know they're fucking around, but at the same time they're serious. You know, but in the end, I'll say at least 14 is when I become fully transparent. Like I didn't say I was gonna hide everything before, but when she hits or he hits 14 or 15, then I definitely will officially teach him how the world really works. You know, because of course you gotta get them ready for adulthood at that point. You know. And once again, I'm not a parent, so I can't really fully confirm on my stance.
But that's the thing. Like even as like One Bone for Life says, like 14, like that's old for adults. Like biologically, like historically, we've had men enter adulthood younger than 14, 13, 12, 11.
But the biggest thing here is, once again, at least in the West, you don't have to put out everything transparent when they're not even prepubescent or all that shit. No, I don't want you to do something because I fucking said.
But that's the thing. But it's beyond. Stop. It's beyond sex.
Or how the
like
life
that's
works.
Like that. No, that's
I want you to focus on things that you're supposed to be focusing on as a child. Right. And once again, if they come to me with a question, it depends on what the question is. I'll be fully transparent or I'll be somewhat transparent. But that is way too young for me to be fully transparent. At least right now. Yeah. If they come to me with some crazy shit, I'll address it. You know, depending on the subject.
Keep in mind, like you got to be ready for your single-digit child to come up to you asking about transgenders. That is reality in this day and age.
My child will be homeschooled or private school, but regardless, yeah, if the child comes with me about that stuff, just say, I can't really say it because I'll probably get banned by Susan, but I don't agree with that type of stuff.
No, but that's like this is part of the thing when I was younger, this is an issue. A big reason why kids learned about all this sex ed stuff at school, the reason that it got to this point was because parents wouldn't.
Or the teachers got way too involved at this point.
No, but I think the teachers were given the ability to get involved by the parents who refused to have the talk with their kids.
Well, it's not just they refuse to have the talk. They have the talk with their kids regardless, the teachers. And they tell them don't tell your parents about this. Don't go home.
I'm talking before that.
Oh, before? Wait,
way before. That's the thing. It only got to this point. Like back when this stuff was starting to be pushed in the Ontario curriculum and there was pushback, one of the biggest arguments was, well, parents aren't having the talk with their kids.
Well, so someone has this?
10 years, give or take.
10 years ago?
Yeah, about that.
Okay, I agree with that.
Like the curriculum, like it didn't just happen overnight. The curriculum has continually been approved because parents didn't want to have that awkward conversation with their children. So it fell to the state, it fell to the schools, and now they're like, whoa, no, you shouldn't be telling our kids about this sexual stuff. It's like, you've been handing over the authority for educating children about reproduction for well over a decade, if not decades now. It's a little late to call back and have takesy-backsies.
I've been, my high school years were in the late 2000s, One Bone, and it's always been around, the alphabet community. Always. It wasn't as present as it is now. It's been around.
Yeah, no, there was a school club, like for it when I was in high school. Like, it was just a thing.
Right. I just had to let them know because I'm like, hey, I understand you didn't know until 14, 15 years old in high school. I agree.
But it started when parents gave the state permission to teach their kids about heterosexual relations.
Well, at the same time, that's why it's very important to have both parents in the household for these type of questions. Because once again, for the mother, it's all about how they.
That you can have both parents, but if the parents aren't willing to have the conversation, it doesn't matter if you have a single parent household or a 2-parent household.
But it's more likely for the 2-parent household to address this, especially the father. You know, more likely. I'm not saying that it's
more likely. I'll give a statistical advantage. But that just might bring the number up from 50% of households to 60% of households. Right. How much of the percentage matters. If the majority of children are learning about the human reproductive cycle from their school before they learn it from their parents, well, the parents gave the school permission to do that. So they don't get to complain now when the school's teaching about other shit. Because they gave control of sexual education to the school a long time ago.
So, Gray, how does this involve male issues, this subject? It's for the chat.
I'd say like this would fall under family. Because right now, like, you want male issues?
Male issues of being not like, once again, right? Because I think it's more prevalent in the single mother household that's pushing or not really being involved in what's happening in schools.
I've seen and experienced too much of the fathers not getting involved. Maybe it's just subjective.
Right.
But, well, fuck it. I'll get personal here. My dad didn't tell me shit.
Well, he was just working, coming home, and just doing his thing, just like, eh.
Yeah. Like, he basically passed it off. Like, I learned from my own independent research.
Have you brought it up to him?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I got fucking pissed at him.
And he never addressed it to you or tried to teach you?
Nope, nothing. Didn't teach me shit about relationships. Didn't teach me shit about sex.
But that is completely fucked. Because, once again, like, my dad immediately... and he's like, like, hey, we ain't doing all that alphabet shit, okay? Like, and he explained why, you know, in the most simplest terms. And I was younger, 11 years old, around there, 12. But he made sense. He told me what it was, but he made sense why he didn't agree.
Yeah, that's the thing. Your dad went far more in depth and was far more reasonable than mine. So we got different subjective experiences on this. So I see it as an issue that I can see as more widespread, but that is my own subjective experience and the few that I've seen, like, from other people. You've probably had, you know, a much more stricter, more open upbringing regarding the subject. So a bit of a difference here. So
yeah, my dad was very strict, but when it comes to these type of questions, he definitely didn't hesitate to address it, you know. So I know later on, like, hell, like, it's legal and where I'm at, as long as you're with a parent, you're able to have a little bit of that magic sauce. I was 17 when he gave me my first shot. You know, he's like, hey, I'd rather you experience it here than going out there doing something dumb. I'm like, touche. So that's why I agree with Gray with parents needs to be very involved with what their kids do.
Yeah. And personally, I just think that many parents don't get involved in key areas where they really should. And that larger responsibility is why we have all these problems in the school system, because fathers are not taking, like, they're not making the effort, whether they're afraid to because their wife has their nuts in a jar, whether they're afraid to because societal stigma, or whether they're just not comfortable with the subject.
Speaking of that, Tara Bay Spence, sorry if I butcher your name. My dad told me he would kick my ass if I was having sex, and especially got a bitch pregnant. See, my dad said that to me often as well, but eventually, as you get older, he's like, use protection if you go trying to go out there and fuck bitches. You know, my dad, like, I'm sure, I don't know if your dad had a issue when he was younger of getting a girl pregnant while he was young, or if he knew somebody. You know, that's why he was very, very strict when it comes to that. Because believe it or not, my dad was definitely strict on girlfriend situation. Especially if my grades weren't looking good, you don't got a girlfriend. So that's why, at least in my opinion, you know, having a strong male father figure, it is completely crucial. It is completely crucial when it comes to bringing up a daughter or a son. Because, like we said before, from baby to around 7 years old, I'll say 8 years old, that's a mother's world. 8 years old to 18 is the father's world.
Yeah. Well, let me put an interesting scenario.
Oh, what's up?
So, father takes son out on a boating trip. Son's a teenager. So there's an awkward silence, and the dad says, "So, speaking of sex," and the son's like, "I knew it. Mom put you up to have the talk with me, right?" And dad's like, "Well, I see you've got a girlfriend, so want to make sure that everything's above board." And son's like, all right. So what do you want to know about sex, Dad?
Oh, wait, what?
There you go. Yeah, that's a whole moment.
It took me a second. I was like, wait a minute. He has another vector. I can't even say your name, bro. Hey, how do you say his name, Gray?
Devectivus.
Devectivus. All right. Okay, I say your name now. You're not entitled to anything that includes knowledge, your freedom, or your own life, let alone your parents owe you anything. And there's nothing you can do but try to be better. Yeah.
Entitlement's a funny word. Like, realistically, no one is entitled to anything, period.
But I will still hold the parents accountable if that child is running amok and being a menace to society. Clearly, they didn't raise him right, teach him right, and none of that.
Yeah, it's like when you see a dog that's acting like a complete asshole, you don't say, "Wow, that dog is a complete asshole." You say, "Wow, that dog has a shitty owner."
Bingo. Because when it comes to that type of situation, it is no excuse on why your child is acting a certain way, all right? Unless he has some crazy medical condition that makes him act a certain way. Okay, cool. But besides that, no. The child did not ask to be here. So, in my opinion, as a parent, it's your responsibility to make sure that the upbringing is good and you get that child ready for the horrors of the world.
And like, this is another thing. Like, this is actually exactly the issue I was talking about earlier about vague and agreeable, but ultimately useless. Try to be better. What the fuck does that even entail?
You sound genuinely confused.
I am. Like, let's think. So let's say go with athletic things. So it's there's a race. And you know what? No, actually, go with combat. Boxing. Get into a boxing match. You lose. You go to your coach, and he tells you, be better.
Like, what the? Be better at what? Like,
be better.
Just be better.
It's like, okay, yeah, I agree. I need to be better if I want to win. Well, good. So be better. It's fucking useless advice.
Just go out there and be better. God damn it. Like, coach, what the fuck, bro?
That's a lot of this advice. Be better, do better, improve yourself. How?
He came back. It means be better with your kids. That's what we're talking about, dude. Just trying
be
to
better. Again, what the fuck is be better?
You didn't specify, man. Like that was the issue. You did not. There was no context, you know. He's not trying to be argumentative. He had a legit issue with that sentence.
That's the biggest problem I have with so much advice. It is vague and non-specific. And I was puzzling for like an hour today over this, trying to figure out why aren't people more specific?
That's true. You know, it's like, and that's another thing with male issues, whether it's society or online with the manosphere. They just say that they just regurgitate the same thing over and over and over and over and over, but never dial in with the specifics.
Like, let me give an example, actually. So here's the vague example. If you want to run a business, you need to know how to manage people. True. Agreeable, but ultimately a useless piece of advice.
That's also true.
I say, here's the more specific. If you want to run a business, you need to understand where every single person has to be, what they need to deliver specifically, the timeline they need to deliver it in, and do they have purpose to keep in beyond when they do that bit? And do you have a schedule that you can keep that will keep them consistently working so they're not sitting around with their thumb up their ass for a while?
True.
That's specific, actually helpful advice for someone who's trying to start a business that involves more than one person.
Yep. Gray's facts right now. I agree with One Bone.
That's the issue I have. There's not enough advice like that. Like, how do I know that? Because I've tried it and I fucked up. And it was like basically a post-mortem analysis that I realized the ways that I was fucking up.
You pretty much just sounded like a PUA. You want to get girls, bro? Huh? Is that what you want? You tired of being a little pussy? Take my 10-week course that's cost $5,000, and I will make sure you get a girl. But how? Don't worry about it. Buy my course.
Yeah, buy my course, and I'm going to give you a bunch of motivational speeches and tell you to be confident, bro.
Yeah, just be confident, bro.
Maintain frame. But here's the thing, like, you'd think it would be so fucking easy for these PUAs to go, this is a common phrase that a woman will say. This is the counterphrase of the kind of attitude. Like, again, so here's an example. So be better at conversations. Useless piece of fucking advice. Make sure that every time you add to a topic in a conversation, you have at least 2 points which could be bounced off of. that's fairly specific and practical to keeping a fresh conversation going.
Right.
That's the difference.
Coaches, they want to whisper sweet nothings to these gullible young men to give them a hope that they can bag a 9 or a 10.
They're
Chat.
motivational speakers, no fucking better than like you probably could just watch some fucking Tony Robbins shit and get as much value as they're going to give you with their $10,000 course.
They are master manipulators. No joke. They know how to manipulate. Like if I was 10 to 12 years younger, I would have fell for it.
Well, I think a big part of it is like you're aware that the different hemispheres of your brain sort out logic and emotion, correct?
Yep.
I think a big part of it is that these guys are appealing to the right side of the brain, the emotional part. And specifically, they're taking advantage of a thinner corpus callosum, which is associated with low testosterone, to get men to rationalize the emotions that they make them feel.
Agreed. I agree, and they're very good at it. Very good.
That's the thing, because that's how you get shit to work with women. You get them to feel a certain way, and the women will rationalize what you're doing. Like they'll rationalize their behavior as to, oh no, I did actually think about it and have a logical reason. It was like, no, you didn't. You just felt on it, did it, and then you had to rationalize it after the fact.
Okay. I'm gonna talk to the chat right quick. Chat. It just dropped like 3 subs. All right. Okay, it's cool. 89 of you guys. Let me give you something when it comes to quote unquote game with women, right? I don't really go out there and date and do all that dumb shit anymore. I'm just doing my own thing. But before, when I was out and about on the hunt, here's my advice, and I'm sure you guys heard me say it before. The more you date, the more you realize that every woman is pretty much a carbon copy of each other. Okay? So once you get to that point of every woman is a carbon copy of each other, the only thing that you need to do in order to be successful with a woman is to make her feel good. Because once again, women primarily base their decisions on feelings. As long as you make her feel good, and once again, you don't even really have to spend any money like that. Boost up her little ego that she has, right? Boost her like, oh, I didn't know I see Beyonce. Oh my god, oh, you will have her by the end of the night. I know there's other various factors that goes into it, but the main thing that I'm saying right now is women are not different, in my opinion. They're literally all the same. And as long as you make her feel the tingles, right? As long as you able to make her feel good, that's all you need to do. Not all the extra shit that the PUA is trying to tell you. Cold approach, maintain frame, confidence. Get the fuck out of here, okay? You don't need all that. No, you don't need all that whatsoever. You guys can disagree if you want, right? Because of course, if you're Mega Chad or Tyrone, right, or if you have $1 million in the bank, that will also help. Yes, I agree. But when it comes to just you going to the club or going to the bar or whatever, as long as you make her feel good, manipulate her emotions, you're in the bag. And I'm just talking to men that are actually still going out there and actively on the hunt for the puniti. And guess what? I gave you this for free. I don't have to charge you $10,000. Ain't that right, Gray?
Oh, precisely. But then, of course, comes the issue where some men will only listen if they've put in $10,000.
which is asinine.
Yeah, but it also, unfortunately, it is kind of how human nature is. Like, if you blow a bunch of money on something, you think it's more valuable than something that you got for free.
Right. And here's another thing. Okay. I know a lot of you, not a lot, but one or two of you guys have issues approaching women because, you probably were raised to believe that women are queens, like Queen Cleopatra, or they're the next Scarlett Johansson or whoever it is. Gentlemen, they can be just as grimy as you and me, or even worse. All right? They're humans. Fuck how they feel. Just approach. But time and place. Like, don't go out of fucking nowhere being weird. But stop putting women on the pedestal, please. Stop. It's so stupid. It is so dumb. At least that's my opinion, I don't go out there like that with the dating world anymore, but when I was younger, oh man. I was slaying left and right, and best believe I didn't need to have $100,000 in the bank to do it.
Yeah, well, let's be honest. Women go for the guys that make them feel the best. Like, yeah, they're turned on by money, but they're not looking for money first.
Right, the money thing, that's for the simps. That's for the soy boy betas. Okay?
Yeah, like it's alpha fucks beta bucks. Like, when a woman wants a guy, she'll fucking open her wallet for him.
Exactly. It only takes a woman around 6 to 8 seconds to know if she wants to fuck you or not. It is what it is.
Like, quite honestly, Chronic's advice, like, get to the gym is a good one. And then if you want a secondary thing, like, if, again, my personal experience, be somewhere visible and be doing something else. They'll come to you.
Don't be giving these females attention either. All right. You go in and just do your own thing at the bar or the club. Do whatever you want to do, whether you're with the boys or by yourself. Don't pay attention. Don't pay attention. All right. Go in there, look clean, look good. You're fit. Go up in there and have a good time. You are supposed to have a good time. Fuck how they feel. You just met them. Go in there, have a great time, sip on that good shit, and don't fall for that. Oh, okay, buy us a drink. Get the fuck out of here.
Actually, I think if you condense it into advice, the men least likely to meet a girl at the club are the guys who go to a club to meet a girl.
Bingo, bro. Gray, you're on point with these analogies today. Holy fuck. Gray just said it. He just said it. And gentlemen, I'm not saying, oh, you have to go there because, oh, that will prove that if you're a man. No, you can still do your own thing. I'm just saying from my experience, when jumping from colleges, military, clubs, bars, etc. Women, they don't really primarily go for the money right away unless she sees you as a lame. I repeat, she doesn't go for the money right away unless she perceives you as a lame. That's just facts of life. If she sees some sexual tensions, she's feeling a little bit tingly down there, the money thing is the last thing that she wants to think about. She just want to smash.
Yeah, like, they'll smash a fucking broke dude behind the dumpster.
Yes, it's caught on video. Or the woman that's claiming that she's strong, independent, has a degree and all that stuff, has her own house and car. She's literally picking up bums to bring back to her house. Bums.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that goes back into, like I already said, like, they love the taboo.
I agree. They'd love to. live on the edge, break the rules.
Actually, you know what? Number
No.
one, okay, you know what? Two things to increase your chances if you're gonna go out to the bar. Number one, don't go there to meet up women. Have something else to do. Number two, put on a wedding band.
Oh, that's key. If you want to attract females immediately, chat, wedding band is definitely, because once again, your imaginary wife doesn't even have to be there. Pre-selection will be at play.
Actually, you can even say you're engaged. They'd probably go far enough too.
Yeah, pre-selection will still be at play. Exactly. Like, it's what I believe what I'm saying is not wrong. I'm sure you guys have different opinions to what I have to say, but with my success with women, I'm sorry. I did do that sipping shit when I was around 18 years old. But after I got immediately red pilled by Sandman, oh, I was a fucking savage. I was a savage. And women love that shit. I ain't talking about savage of being a complete fucking asshole dick a dickhead. No, that's not what I'm saying. I do what I want, whatever I fucking want to. And if you want to be with me, you on my time. You're gonna be rolling with my page. And women loved it. What do you have to say about that, Gray?
Last thing, that's where again, vague versus specific advice. The vague advice is don't put women on a pedestal. The specific advice is you go and you do what you want to do. And if she doesn't want to go, do not change your plans. Go and do it without her.
Bro, Gray, do you know how many times I had to deal with a woman threatening to go home by herself and all that fucking crazy shit? And I'm like, all right, go ahead, go home. I got to finish this. I got to finish these shots. But yeah, she still stay around anyway. Woo! It's too funny, bro.
Yeah, but that's the kind of specifics. Like, I'd like to see more of this advice in general, like in Manosphere content. And I understand that there are some limits because it's not good to get too personal and reveal that kind of information.
Give me 1 second. Carry on next. You guys been watching a bit too much PUAs. No, first off, it's called experience, right? Right. I actually go outside and touch grass and actually able to diddle in a few punities and actually have a great time. And two, you definitely have no idea what you're talking about. Because if we were watching a little bit too much PUAs, I would have charged you $500 by now.
And you know what? I'll admit, like 12, 13 years ago, I did consume some PUA content. Way back before I was fucking red pilled.
Oh, so, I did not. I thought it was always stupid.
Yeah. No, but I've just I'm not above admitting that I have made a shit ton of fuck ups in my life. So
no, it's fine, it's fine. But with my experience, I'm like, yo, like their advice is so fucking stupid. They want you to pay for it, like all that cash, really, for like a weekend trip, so they can take you around and show you how to hit on women, and they have zero success.
Yeah, and God, I'm remembering some of the stories, like fucking. Like when this was. Sorry,
hold up. Why can't you take it? I didn't know it was a joke. Why didn't you put JK at the end of the sentence? Why didn't you do that, bro? What you doing?
Yeah,
bro?
yeah, like you got to do lol, JK, XD.
Yeah, LOL or something. Yeah, like I thought you were serious. But go ahead, Gray.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I remember one of the success stories from one of the PUA contents was like these guys flew out, met at the bar, got like a brief talking seminar, and then the guy said, "You know what? We'll go try this. We want to try it for ourselves." And they got some numbers. It's like, so you paid how much fucking money to go and do something that you could have done at the local bar if you just fucking found the balls and put them back between your legs?
Exactly. And if you're new to it, you could have paid at least like what, $30, maybe $40 tops. Give me her a couple drinks.
I think they didn't even get drinks. It's literally they just went around and talked. They weren't even
Please
fucking
give me your
buying
number.
drinks for this.
There's a camera right there. Don't embarrass me. Please give me your.
That's the thing. Like, these guys pay fucking out the ass to go do something that they could easily do at home. Like, there's nothing fucking special about going out and trying to. Now, admittedly, in this day and age, not fucking advisable. That's a good way. Like, back then, it was like, well, what's the worst that can happen? And the guy basically demonstrated by like getting way going way too far and not taking a hint. And she fucking yelled at and wandered off, and he was like, "Yeah, that's as far as it gets." Nowadays, oh fuck, you are lucky if the cops don't get fucking called on you.
Bro, exactly. That's one of the main reasons why I don't even go out there like that anymore. Because one false move, or if the woman perceives that she is being harassed or something like that, I'm going out in handcuffs or at least publicly humiliated.
If she doesn't call one of the fucking simps from the bar who you fucking know that there's like at least 3 guys at any given moment willing to kick your ass.
Oh, I was about to say, if it was 1-on-1, I'll whoop his ass. But 3-on-1, yeah.
Those kind of guys, like if they were the kind of guys to do 1-on-1, then they'd be with her already.
That's true, but I'm like, bro, don't fight for this use up puniti, bro. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Everybody's recording right now. Don't do it. It's not worth it, bro.
Oh god, yeah. Back in the day before everyone had a fucking camera phone.
Exactly, man. And the biggest thing that I can take from this is because I did see a comment. Give me 1 second. When it comes to all these new young men going up and trying to find their place in the world as a masculine man, do you believe the single mother issue plays a part in this?
A part, yes, but I'd also point to the societal narrative. Because I'd say single mother is definitely
narrative?
Yeah, because here's the thing. The single mother issue on its own, I think it would actually be manageable if society had better narratives for men. Because you look at every story in the media today, look at the path the man takes. Like, how many good, upstanding, decent men in stories just fuck off and do their own thing?
Hey, let me stop you right quick. That's great, bro. Silas Larson, that's Gray. You didn't see his name? His name's right there, Gray. It's right there, Gray. I don't know him personally. Like, what do you want me to do? Give you his address or something?
They hand out my IP address. Like, oh, thank you. I know where I live.
Let me give you his birth certificate too. You know. But what were you saying?
No, I feel that the societal narrative paints a very specific path for men. Because if you have like a 2-parent household, or at the very least the father in the household, like that's someone who can give you a personalized path to follow, or at the very least can give you approval or disapproval for the path you're following. In the absence of that, you're going to look to other sources. Probably stories. If not celebrity stories, then you're going to look at the media. and you look at the comic books today, you look at the movies today, the path that the man chooses, if he's a good man, is the path of the simp.
That's true, especially the fact that if he was a good man, the perspective of what a good man is definitely not helpful to men anywhere when it comes to society. They're quickly to say, hey, supposed to treat her like a queen, supposed to give all your money, supposed to marry her and let her take all your stuff. You just can't afford her to go to war, all that stuff. You're still a good man, you know, even though you're pretty much self-destructing your own life. But Larson, okay, that makes sense. You got a small phone screen. All right, cool. All right, I was just making sure. I was like, you know, why are you asking who Gray is? You know. So the biggest thing I want to talk about male issues is war. Because I believe that's going to be the biggest thing that's going to be upcoming within the next 5 years at least. Because it's on multiple fronts currently. And I heard the Canadian military is being a little feisty with Russia right now.
I wouldn't be surprised. Remember, around where I am, about early winter last year, I saw what I was absolutely positive was some sort of training exercise, like by the Canadian military. So,
Rishi, why are you being so hostile to the chat? This is the nicest I've been to the chat. You do not want to see hostile, sir. Remember, sergeant in the army. You think I don't know how to yell? But, Greg, what were you saying?
Yeah, I'm positive that like the Canadian military has been like doing some drills in various areas for quite a while, and like a lot of winter conditions. But the larger question is, okay, war, but it's always the question of like what is the form that the war is going to take, and what's going to be the average man's involvement in it.
See, when it comes to that, right, the average man being involved, when it comes to Ukraine, it's still crazy how they're all for the democracy and how, you know, feminism is prevalent over there and all that crazy stuff. But as soon as the invasion began, that showed their complete true colors. I really do feel bad for men that had to stay behind. I really do. Because I'm sure at least a few of them did not want to fight.
I'm pretty sure.
Choice.
But then, of course, it gets into, as I brought up before, there's a difference between you're not allowed to leave the country and you need to fight. Because they didn't pull all the men from the non-active regions and force them to the active regions.
Right. You have no choice but to fight and die for your country. How demoralizing is that for a person that doesn't even really want to fight?
Well, honestly, and it violates Sun Tzu's art of war, and it's a damn good way to make sure you fucking lose the battle if that's the morale of your soldiers.
Bingo. And that's also why I do these what series, or I do the political issues or any issues that involves men, right? Because how do you know that what's happening in Ukraine won't happen to the United States?
Well,
okay.
No, well, here's the thing. For one, land access. Like Ukraine shares a land border with Russia. Any country that wants to come to the US or Canada is going to first have to come by sea and establish some sort of beachhead that way, if they want some sort of land-based occupation.
But let's say that They have the balls enough to do it. What's going to stop Washington, D.C. to say, hey, 18 to 60, you're going to have to stay. You have no choice. I'm talking about 18 to 60-year-old men.
Well, that's the thing. Stay. Okay, stay in the country? Stay in the state?
In the country and fight.
Okay, they got to divide those into two things.
And this is hypothetically. Let's just say similar situation with when it comes to Ukraine.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Let's say Russia and China fucking tag team us.
Okay, so let's say Russia has launched a naval assault and has stormed the beaches of Washington, D.C. and taken a couple coastal towns and is laying siege to a city because somehow they got some fucking artillery. Let's get to that point, and the U.S. is like, okay, all American men 16 to 60, you have to stay and fight. All right. Are they going to pull the men from Florida to Washington to fight?
No, unless the battle gets nearby.
I purposely picked the state furthest away from Washington, D.C.
Yeah, unless the battle gets to the point where it's near Florida.
I'm pretty sure if it starts in Washington and gets to Florida, you're already lost.
Or we're in a losing position because we still got a shit ton of other, unless they're attacking us on both sides. That's the biggest factor.
Honestly, I'd put more money on China being able to launch an invasion from Africa to get to the East Coast. But
so, do you believe they'll launch their attack on the same coast?
No, that's the thing. I'm just humoring the hypothetical here. My own personal thoughts are separate. Yeah, I'm humoring the land invasion hypothetical and trying to here's the issues that I have. Okay, so but to answer it, do you think they're going to pull people from men 16 to 60 from Florida and force them to fight in Washington, given all that is required to get men from Florida to Washington?
Is this just Russia or does it involve China?
Personally, I'd put more money on the U.S. going to a military conflict with Russia than a military conflict with China, because China already has its hooks so deeply into the U.S. I don't think there'd be organized resistance.
So hypothetically, you don't believe that they won't back
I don't think the U.S. government is going to oppose a Chinese invasion.
No, but what about China saying, hey, since you guys are my boy, we're going to help you out, and it's going to benefit both of us if we invade. Hypothetically.
China invading the U.S.?
Along with Russia. Both at the same time.
I think that if China and Russia invaded, then enough would have changed on the geopolitical landscape that, here's the thing. If China is invading the U.S., the American government is going to stand down.
I am not surprised.
That is my thoughts on that. So I am saying Russia solely because there would be a U.S. government resistance to a Russian invasion.
Fucking chronic. Our trans units will stand proud to use their fake units to scare off the enemy.
it might work. If you had some massive billboards showing off trans genitals and you continually flash that would be demoralizing to the Russian soldiers, I'm sure.
But carry on. They won't invade America. They don't have to you, and invading America is dangerous for anyone. But here's the difference, though. There is a psyops thing that's happening in America right now that's making men, more and more men each day, definitely weaker, fragile, more effeminate.
Well, that's the thing. like it's a separate argument for would this happen? I'm addressing it as though, okay, it is happening in this hypothetical. Let's discuss how we believe the U.S. would respond. And now we're assuming that the
psyops is happening right now. That's facts.
No, I'm talking about like the 16 to 60 conscripted can't leave.
Yeah.
I'm talking about that set of logistics. And I'm pointing out the difference between you have to stay in the country and you have to fight.
I believe that's a realistic scenario if both Russia and China are bum rushing the U.S. at the same time.
I'm saying it's just Russia because I don't think. Okay, you know what? Fine, we'll say it's both. But then, are they pulling? Let's say both. Then let's say biggest fucking threat possible. Like fucking Japan gets in on it too. Like all of fucking Eastern Europe and Asia gets in on it and invades the entire west coast of the U.S.
Wait. Why will Japan turn?
Because I'm maximizing this threat to the point of ridiculousness that not even a COD game.
No, I was just saying the superpowers, especially mortal enemies.
That's the. But I'm pointing the enemy. Who the enemy? Look. You're getting caught up on the details here. Who the enemy is doesn't matter. An enemy invades the West Coast. The U.S. goes all Ukraine protocol and prevents all the men from leaving the country. How are they going to force men geologically separated from the fighting to fight? Did they do this in Ukraine? Did they pull everyone from the west side of Ukraine and force them to go over to the eastern side to fight?
A good amount of them, yeah.
They pulled them out of the west and put them on the eastern front lines.
Right, yeah. A good amount of them, yes. The 1860s, yeah.
So you had so here's the thing. So you had the women leaving the country. You had the men going to fight. Who the fuck took care of the half of the country that wasn't at war? Who kept the power plants going? Who kept the lights on? Who maintained the roads?
Well, the people that are
the 15-year-olds and the 61 pluses?
No, I'm talking about the people that are actually crucial to the mission, right? That's the biggest thing, crucial to keeping the country afloat. But that's not even that many people compared to probably hundreds of thousands of men being forced to fight.
Did they put hundreds of thousands of men on the front lines?
Not yet.
But that's the thing. Okay, that's the thing. Not yet, which means they haven't.
But they have put a good amount of men in the front lines, yes. Not hundreds of thousands, but yeah.
But that's the thing. But my question is, where did these men front come? Like, where specifically do these men come from?
Well, they went from all parts of Ukraine. They went to various armories to go pick up a weapon, it's a civilian, whether you chose to fire or not, they give out weapons. They say, hey, all right, here you go. Go ahead, go out there.
Now, is that if you volunteered to fight? Or I think like did all of Ukraine
volunteered and not volunteered?
That's the thing, but did they get someone right on the western border of Ukraine and go, you're 18, get in the truck?
I believe so, yeah. They stopped plenty of young men or old men from leaving the country.
That's the nuance. You don't have to leave the country to avoid the fighting.
You don't have to, but they wanted to leave. But
they want to leave, but they couldn't leave. But that's the difference. Not being able to leave does not mean having to fight.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but the fact that they are in danger to the point where they have to fight for survival.
But they don't if they're not anywhere near the fighting. The guy in Florida is not in danger if Washington, D.C. is torn apart by fucking like military bombardments.
Which is not in danger. I did agree with you. I agree with you when it comes to just Russia. I agree with you. I said Russia and China, both superpowers.
They're still going to come from the West Coast. The East Coast is not in any danger if the West Coast
will be deployed immediately if both superpowers were in there. But if it's just Russia, I agree with what you're saying.
Let's say that the fucking
You know
European
how
Union
many
gets in
people
on it and
killed
blasts the
that,
shit out of
right?
the East Coast. Okay, so the coast gets taken out. The people in the center, like Texas, ain't gonna give a shit. They're not in immediate danger, even if New York and California get pulverized.
Oh, they'll give a shit. They're prepared. They'll give a shit. Because once again, like, you know how many People Liberation Army? Well, China's army. Do you know how many people they have? And the technologies that they're developing on top of Russia.
But is Texas going to
Once
go,
again,
we need to immediately take every military capable man and send them out of Texas? Or is Texas going to go, we are fortifying our border and we'll stop them at our border, but we're not going to drain all of our
so are you
military
talking
power?
about civilians or military? We need to get that out the way.
Well, but that's the thing. If you've basically conscripted every man from 16 to 60, what's the difference?
Well, the military is going to fight. Okay, so we're talking about just the civilians. Okay. Yeah. That, I say, if it's the West Coast, I do believe Florida will. The people that want to get involved, they will go over there. But if they don't want to get involved, they'll at least fortify themselves for a potential attack. I agree.
Yeah. That's the difference between cannot leave and forced to fight.
Unless I don't know if I should say that. Well, unless the U.S. government is on some foolery, I agree with you.
And that's the now, because here's the if the U.S. government was to go on that level of foolery, you then have to go and drag people who don't want to fight out of their homes, put them in trucks, drive them across the U.S., and then put them on the front lines. That's not going to go smoothly, and you're not going to get a 100% capture rate.
I agree. It all depends on the desperation. I agree. Because once again, as long as you're able to push the enemy back or stalemate, I still see the U.S. doing that, taking people to go to the front lines.
I think, but I'm willing to bet that even in Ukraine, there's plenty of men well within the limits who didn't flee the country, but they fucked the hell off from anywhere there was conflict.
I'm gonna read this right quick. They're not going to get those men to shoot those rifles. See, this is where the interesting part gets in. It all depends how far. Okay, how do I explain that? Okay, hypothetically, right? I'm talking about hypothetically. I don't believe this will actually happen, but let's say if the U.S. go to the similar route as Russians, if they refuse to fight, and they deem it as desertion or not following your superior's orders, and you're threatened of getting your life taken on the spot. And this is hypothetical.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. But how well do you think that's going to go over? I guess, I'll point to Warhammer 40K for an example of because you're basically describing a commissar who, if you turn and run from the fight, the commissar's job is to fucking shoot you.
I'm not gonna be here. Give me 1 minute. You're back. Go ahead, continue.
Okay. So we'll go along with this hypothetical scenario where the U.S. has gone full on Imperium of Man Imperial Guard. And they're like, look, we're conscripting you. You're going to fight. Here's your rifle. I'm going to stand behind you. And if any of you don't do what I say or turn and run, then I'm going to shoot you myself. How long is it before that commissar dies under mysterious circumstances from friendly fire or a stray enemy bullet, in massive air quotes? Especially considering the amount of guns in the USA to begin with, I don't think that the rounding people up to send them to the front lines is going to go very smoothly.
I'm just saying, when it comes to the military history I've learned and personal situations, when it comes to soldiers being feared or being severely punished, you know, even civilians, they'd be able to comprehend of the consequences. It may work initially, but I do agree with you where it won't work long term whatsoever.
I think it's going to be chaos and more effort than it's really worth.
Because you know what happened in Stalingrad, right?
Not specifically, no.
Battle of Stalingrad.
I need a refresher.
As soon as as soon as the Russian soldiers, because once again, there were a shit ton of Russian soldiers that died, but also when it comes to the bad people from Germany, any soldier that decided to like, oh, you know, I don't want to fight anymore, I don't want to do this, or you know, disobeying a superior officer or contemplating desertion, they literally get a bullet through the head on the spot in front of everybody, and that will be a deterrent for people to not run away, right? Because at that point they don't have a choice, right? It's either
well, that's a Warhammer 40k commissar right there. But here's the thing: how long before that commissar catches a stray bullet in the back?
It depends on how brave they are, but I would say not that long.
Like, that's the thing. Like, you try to enforce it with that. You try to think about the percentage of the population that's going to want to go, no, fuck you. Like, maybe you can get those people to the front lines and give them a rifle because they're unarmed to begin with. But once you give them a gun, like, Battlefield's chaos, man. Like what do you get? Like, I'm willing to bet that you're going to see a lot of fucking officers, especially given the qualifications for officers. They probably like here's the thing: all male. Imagine an all male platoon with a female sergeant. Do you think that female sergeant is going to be able to threaten them, like, by shooting them for desertion for very long?
No. In the middle of war, she will be mainly ignored, in my opinion.
She'll be lucky. She'll be lucky if she's ignored.
Right. She'll be, the soldiers will follow, like, the next leadership that's male.
And here's the thing: in Ukraine, we've already seen that these units that they are not military discipline.
No,
like, they're basically just ragtag groups of like armed thugs.
I agree. They have no idea what they're doing. I've seen a couple of the firefights that they have. Like, it's literally a civilian that picked up a weapon one day, and like the aim is trash. Like, everything is trash. It was pretty pathetic, but at the same time, I don't blame them.
That's the thing. After like some of these soldiers see this kid who had no place being there executed for screaming, "I want to go home." You really think that they're gonna fucking be like, you know what? I'm okay with this. I'm scared of the guy who did that. No, they're gonna be planning to fucking take out their superior officer. There's none of that military discipline or hierarchy drilled into them. A ragtag group of civilians.
It depends how much power he has. And on top of that, it depends if that one person just breaks, like what happened in Ukraine as well, right? A soldier ran over his colonel or commander with a tank because he was highly upset of, you know, he thought that it was an exercise, but it was an invasion and all his friends are dying and stuff. So he just like fuck it. And, you know, when the commander wasn't looking, he just yeeted him under a tank, like literally ran that commander over.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. Like, if it gets to the point where the US government is forcibly capturing and drafting civilians and shipping them to the front lines, the chaos will be impossible to contain. I think it would honestly be worse than not doing it.
And do you see this as a male issue? I definitely do.
Yes.
This is why we have these conversations, gentlemen. This is why. All right. Yeah. Women are going to be women. It is what it is. But it's way more to that when it comes to male issues. Way more to that. I just had to address that because of that previous angry guy on my channel.
Yeah.
Talk about politics, bro. I'm like, yo, they're talking about taxing assault like weapon 1,000 times. Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't want to hear your bias stuff.
I mean, like, quite honestly, like, if you want to,
Me.
like, if you want to get down to, is like, so, they're going to tax assault like weapons 1,000 times. What that should translate to is assault like weapons before this bill is going to get passed are going to fucking sell like crazy because they're going to increase in price. And B, you better have some cash on hand because cash is the only way that assault like weapons are going to be exchanged after this bill passes.
Right. And I'm going to read what Bone has to say. Gray, 100% mutinies will start happening. It's so much easier to tell the enemies that you plan on this and defect too with the technology today as well. Use a restricted phone and call them up. See, once again, it all depends on how powerful this guy is, right? Because let's say if he catches wind, he will end this so-called mutiny before it begins. Because once again, he has hands on technology as well.
But that's the thing. Like, it would be one thing if it would be isolated, like one mutinous group, but the dissent, you will have 1,000 small fires popping up at once. Yeah, some will get caught, but others won't.
Give me 1 second, Gray. I don't agree with Yeetus on politics, but I can still listen. What don't you agree with me with? I don't get it. Go ahead and specify, man. I'm down to talk about it. I'm down. You know, you don't have to agree with me, but what don't you agree with me with? That's the biggest question. All right.
I mean, personally, like, I don't think that there's going to be a land invasion of the U.S. I think that a land invasion isn't really practical. But I'm willing to explore the hypothetical of it.
Worst comes to worst, it'll be ICBMs with nuclear warheads. Worst comes to worst.
Yeah, that's definitely worst case scenario right there.
Yeah, because they know that if every blade of grass has a civilian with a weapon in it, why not just bomb them from my home country?
Yeah. Now, personally, I think that what's far more likely to happen is like there's going to be some kind of excuse that allows foreign military bases on U.S. soil.
Well, China is already buying a shit ton of land in the U.S., and on top of that, Russia and China, whether people want to believe it or not, are trying to make the U.S. financially crippled. All right, because that's the best possible route to weaken the U.S.'s power.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I'm willing to bet that it's going to be far more slow and insidious, and that it won't be a formal land invasion with shots fired. It will be just like the colors on the map will just flip.
This is why I said it before too, the economic war is way more important than the actual war that's happening over there in Ukraine. The economic war is the biggest factor, in my opinion.
Well, now I wish I could find the exact quote. I'd have to reread the book, but every war is economic. You cannot fight a war without money.
Politics is the most important business in the world, especially war.
Yeah. But the thing is, like if you want to win a war, you have to think about it from an economic standpoint. You can have the superior military force, but if you run out of money first, you will lose.
Of course, that's what Russia and China are banking on, especially Russia. But both of them are definitely trying to weaken the U.S., at least the American dollar. And
Hmm. I'd be
that's their
curious
key.
to know, like, what, because honestly, I don't know what exactly is Russia doing to weaken the US dollar? Because I know that the US is like stabbing
Uh,
itself in the guts, but I'm not aware of what Russia is doing to the US
so, in
aside
a
from.
sense, because of the sanctions, right? And Russia still wants the U.S. to lift the sanctions. They're doing a bunch of threats. On top of that, they're raising the price of the oil they currently have or other resources and only selling it in ruble. And whoever doesn't want to buy in ruble, their gas will be shut down. That's why Europe is frantically trying to find an alternative so they don't have to rely on Russia. But a few European countries, they have no choice but to
Now,
rely on Russia.
to be fair, all these European countries are giving a shit ton of money to Ukraine to continue fighting Russian civilians. So I wouldn't see that as a concerted effort to weaken the US dollar. And I think it's, hey, how about we don't give a bunch of money to the people supplying our enemies with weapons?
Well, the very same countries are supplying Russia with economic means to the war anyway. So, I politics, right?
Yeah.
let's keep it
That's
real.
like, yeah. But like, gosh, just the funniest thing, like so much stuff I've seen, like trying to impose sanctions on Russia is like, you're only preventing money from being taken out of Russia. You're not preventing money going into Russia. I think you'd want the opposite thing to happen.
Yeah, I really do believe that the war is being pushed, so a lot of people will make a lot of money, especially the higher ups, the defense companies that makes the various weapons.
Oh God,
Because
so much money laundering, so much money
oh,
laundering.
it's not even funny. Because if they truly wanted to end the war would not have begun in the first place. Like
But here's the thing: fastest way to end the war: stop funding Ukraine.
bingo. But of course, the big guy needs his 10% from all these packages, and the weapons companies they're like, hey, I want a slice too. So it's not
No, honestly, I
secretive.
think. Sorry, just so beautiful because like a fucking amazing money making scheme. You manufacture a shit ton of weapons, send it over to Ukraine on the taxpayer's back, and then leak the coordinates to the Russians so they blow up the ammo dump.
Ain't that some shit? What the fuck? God damn, I didn't know that.
Well, no, that like I'm not saying that that's what happens, but I'm saying that'd be a
Okay.
great fucking way to make a shit ton of money and accomplish
Hypothetically,
absolutely nothing.
hypothetically, because that actually did happen. But hypothetically,
Allegedly, that's what happened.
yeah, allegedly, yeah.
Well,
Oh shit.
I mean, yes, a bunch of weapons got stockpiled up, but who knows why it happened? That's where the allegedly comes in.
Bingo. And how do I explain it? How do I explain it? Do you honestly believe that Putin is going to go beyond Ukraine? I don't believe they will unless they feel provoked.
I don't think he has anything to do. Well,
I don't believe they will.
okay. Like, personally, I don't think he will go west of Ukraine.
Okay. So they will be going
I can see him taking buffer territory in other countries to the north and south.
okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Like
I agree.
given how NATO has been pushing to acquire more countries, I can see Russia wanting to erect a buffer zone around Moscow.
Bingo. And once again, I gotta mention things about Sleepy Joe, right? He's supplying all these crazy weapons to Ukraine, but he refused to give long range missiles to Ukraine that can reach Moscow.
You know what? I just figured out how you can get around all these firearms bans in the U.S.
Oh, don't say it on here. I already know they're watching.
But it's so
Don't say-
brilliant. It's so simple
No, but
too.
don't say it on here. Don't do it because they will deem that we know too much.
You know,
Don't do
fuck
it.
it. I'm gonna message it to you on Discord, and you can decide whether or not to say it.
Okay. Oh shit. But I'm gonna repeat it, right? See, this is my second show. See, I'm not even shilling that much. See, I'm trying to improve for you guys. All right. Because I know you guys are tired of hearing if you want to support this or that. I make sure that we get in the topic first, then I'll chill. If you want to support your boy Sir Yeetus and the Warband, go ahead and donate to the link that I have on top of the chat, paypal.me/Yeetus, or you can do super chat, super things, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. If you donate, I definitely appreciate your donations. But I'm glad that all 91 of you guys are here to listen to what we have to say, because I'm definitely treading on thin ice right now, based on what we just talked about. It is probably not a good thing. I'm I'm telling you right now, like YouTube ain't that nice when it comes to speaking the truth about the Ukraine wars. So, but regardless, I'm glad you guys are here.
All right, you see the the solution I sent you on Discord.
Yeah, let me check real quick. Oh no, bro. No. Oh, you're not wrong, but Jesus Christ. Lord. Oh, great with that dark humor. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. But great. Do you want to take a couple call-ins, or do you just
Yeah,
want to?
you know, I'm sure we could take like 2-3 call-ins.
Okay. So let's start doing the invites. Let's see what you guys have to say about today's topic, male issues. All right, here we go. Let me see. Backwoods Bachelor, thank you for your generous donation. Just remember, inside every hot Ukrainian refugee is a horrible that way to come.
Babushka.
What is that?
Let's see.
If you can't say it on YouTube, don't say it on YouTube.
No. I'm pretty sure grandmother and elderly women aren't censored yet.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah. Could also be like that headscarf that you see a lot on the Middle Eastern.
Yeah, I think so. That as well. Yeah.
And then like kind of those nesting dolls too are also called babushka dolls. So, but it probably means like grandmother.
All right, guys. I'm gonna be taking 1 or 2 callers, and then we're gonna call it a night because I'm pretty sure we covered the majority of what we had to say. If you want to join, go ahead and join. We got like 1 more spot, 2 more spots. Nobody wants to join. Damn. Okay. I guess we're 2 base today. But I know somebody's here right now. Carry on. What's going on, bro?
Hey, man, I have to say it, man. Do I have an echo?
No.
Okay, yeah, I'm just checking. Well,
What is your opinion on male issues?
You're talking about male issues. That's such
Yes.
a large scale. No, like I understand you say relationship issues. That's to do with women and men, like in that sense. Or it depends what type of relationship you're talking about, because there could be relationships between father and son, father and child, and like it's just so much stuff to see men issue because men's health is a male's issue because who else is going to care about besides men? So there's so much more than just a relationship between a man and a woman that is a male's issue.
Yep.
All right, carry on. Could you back up a bit from the mic? You are really loud for some reason.
Am I hot?
It seems like really loud.
Yeah, I could fix that. Is it better now?
Still kind of loud, man, but
I don't know what's wrong with it. Let me check it.
You gotta go back from across the
but that's the
room.
thing. Like you talking right there is fine.
Yeah, I think maybe it's the audio I put it a little bit too high.
But carry on. What other layers that involves male issues that should be talked about, but it's not really being talked about in the manosphere because they would just want to talk about women.
Well, other stuff. I had people
Yep.
talk about like exercising. That's frequently talked about. So in the manosphere in general. Besides that, people don't like talking about like government stuff, but there's some people that talk about that as well in the manosphere in general. This large scale. Money is all money, relationship, and health. Those are the main topics I talked about. People don't normally talk about mental health, but they're doing talk about physical health. So yeah, a lot of people have like a lot of problems that they have from their childhoods because they come from like really horrible places and they don't want to deal with that because normally you don't want to talk about your like faults with people. So that could possibly be something that we could talk about in general, but most people don't talk about because it doesn't really gain you money.
But to clarify, you believe that male issues go beyond the dating market.
Oh yeah, like your whole life is not just women. If it was just that, then after you didn't care about money.
You're
So,
a
yeah.
simp.
Well, most people are simps, even if they don't want to say it. And like you could be like a lot of people in the. I'm gonna be honest. Most people in the manosphere are simps. They're just trying to find a way to get into pussy. That's why they came in the first place.
Well, you're not wrong with that, but I'm definitely not. No, I had my fair share, and I'm definitely just chilling now. It's not worth all the hassle in 2022. It's not. Fuck that. Eh, a lot of them feel the same at the end of the day. Where you get all up in that puniti.
No, it is
Well, again-
technically just a hole in this body. If we'll go deeper, it's more than that. But yeah.
Well, again, it goes back to like the initial, like kind of what I started off with. Like priority 1 is your health. Priority 2 is your wealth or income, and then priority 3 is family. So essentially what's happened nowadays is for men to start priority 3, they more or less have to sacrifice the first 2, and that doesn't work.
I don't feel like they sacrifice it. I feel like they feel like all those other. They're satisfied with those previous 2 goals to a certain degree, and they feel like they're not succeeding in the third category to a state that they want to. Like they might not be the best that they could be in the previous 2 categories, but they feel like personally they have no standing or even a foot into the third one. So they feel like that's a major key that they're lacking in.
Well, okay, but like let's put it this way, like in terms of like how you have to sacrifice, like you at the very least have to risk whatever profession you're in getting involved with a woman due to the era of the Me Too movement.
I agree.
Just don't fuck your fucking coworker.
It doesn't matter if it's your
It
coworker.
still puts you in jail, fired,
Any accusation from any woman can get you fired.
Yeah.
Yep. or in jail.
A coworker
like
just
people-
has a direct incentive to do it.
Like with the Me Too stuff, I'm gonna be kind of honest. My dad told me about this shit when I was a child, and like in the early 2000s. Like, so all this stuff was like, oh well, Me Too stuff. I was like, well, yeah, we knew about this stuff for decades. Like, it was not surprising. It's just like only a certain I'll say only majority of people start to find out only in the late 2010s. that's where people are like, oh wow, this is happening. It's like been happening for years. It's like it's not rare. The only people that had like the only reason that people care about Me Too was because it was happening to famous people. Before they were untouchable, and after only recently they became like people that could be touched. And that's like, oh, what's happening to these famous people? People that been through it or had family members that went through the same crap. It's like, well, yeah, it's been happening for decades. Why are you
Back
surprised?
then, they didn't have that believe all women bullshit. So
No, they kind of did. They did. Like we can say that they didn't, but if any woman said that they got raped, you're not gonna be able to get away from it, even in the early 2000s and stuff like that.
all right, I see what you're saying. They didn't really have any.
It wasn't as strong as it was like in the early, like when Me Too movement was at its like highest point, but it was still there.
I think part like
here's the thing.
somewhat of the difference though, like the reach of it. Like so when it happened in like the 80s or whatever, like because like I imagine like your dad's not talking about the 2000s 2010s, he's talking more like 80s 90s, that is
80s,
Yeah.
90s. Yeah.
in the pre-social media era. Yeah, you could get a complaint to HR and that could get you fired from that job, but that wouldn't be the end of your career in the entire industry necessarily.
No, I'm not saying like the entire industry, but there like the places that people that you knew, if someone says something like that, and they were like normally happen to you in like friend groups or like you go into church or stuff like that, and someone said something like that happened, you're going to like lose out a lot in general. It's just that because of the internet and so on, it had a larger reach. I'm not saying that the Me Too movement wasn't like its final form where it's like freeze and it could just blow up plans with like a flick of a finger, but it had some remnants before it grew into what it became in the end.
Well, and then of course, but it also gets into like when it's not just the immediate people around you, then there's the effective public lynchings too. Like it's not just your coworkers, it's your friends, your family, like strangers.
Okay, I'm gonna say it only really grew when it came to strangers. It was happening with friends and family before, but the Me Too movement was technically getting strangers involved in the situation.
Yeah.
Before it was like friends, family, and workers. Like
to cut it
job.
short.
Yeah.
Carry on. What do you have to say to the Warband before we head out?
Women are not your key goal in life, and if they are, I feel sorry for you because you'll be dragged through the mud over and over again. And I hope I can get enough money off you. I want that simp blood desperately, so I'm going to be becoming a pimp. Sorry for you guys and your future sons if you train them like your parents raised you, because I'll be meek on them till the day they die.
So Carry On's going to be the next anime VTuber, like femboy. Got it.
Nah, I'm going to get girls under me to do it. And after...
Anyway, Gray, what do you have to say to the Warband?
I'm just going to reiterate the top 3 priorities. Number 1 is your health. Number 2 is your wealth. Family is always priority 3 at the highest.
Okay. So when it comes to me, male issues go beyond just women, gentlemen. Fuck that bullshit. I don't give a fuck. All right. Yeah, we have channels that talk about women 24/7, 365, blah, blah, blah. But this channel ain't it when it comes to that. I'll talk about every other avenue, every angle when it comes to male issues, because it can go from the individual to global issues when it comes to men. Because once again, it doesn't matter if it's in your hometown or you have to go halfway around the world to deal with some issues. Societies around the world is going to be looking at men to fix shit. Okay? We already know that the women and the state are not going to take accountability for what happens if things go sideways. They will be looking at men like you and me to go out there, fight and die, or go out there and try to fix the nonsense that's happening. Okay? Because the degrading society is not going to hold on for much longer whatsoever. And when it eventually collapses, they're going to be looking at you and me to say, like, oh, what are we going to do? We're going to do this. You don't have to do it. Don't get me wrong, right? It's a choice. But that's the thing that I'm talking about. When it comes to gun control, when it comes to war, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to your health, when it comes to any of that stuff, not mental. Male issues does not just restrict to women. Okay, that like get that shit out of your mind. All right, expand your horizons, expand the issues that you could potentially deal with in the future, and best believe that you will benefit in the long term. But I am definitely going to be heading out. This is Sir Yeetus. Hopefully, you guys had a bunch of gems dropped on you today or tonight. And I'll see if I can do a stream tomorrow, but if not, I'll definitely let you guys know later on. I am out. Peace.
Peace out, Warband.
Peace.